Greenland came out earlier this year, but most of us weren't able to see it in the theater. Luckily, though, it is now arriving on VOD and digital. Should you be checking it out, though? A family struggles for survival in the wake of a cataclysmic natural disaster. Gerard, Butler, and Baccarin star in this. A comet is heading towards Earth, and some people are chosen to go to a special shelter. Butler and his family are chosen, but after a complication, they find themselves struggling and fighting to get to this secret location, which they believe is in Greenland. So end-of-the-world movies aren't new, and even ones that involve comets or asteroids aren't new either. I mean, Deep Impact and Armageddon are two that pop into my mind. I don't think either of those can be considered critical masterpieces, but they are fun popcorn movies. And that's exactly what we get with Greenland too. The story moves forward with a lot of tension and urgency and even some anxiety, but there are also some quieter moments that allow us to breathe just a little bit, that it does take a slight break between all of the action or between all of the just rushing forward so that we can kind of catch our breath a second, be at peace for a moment, but know that something big and bad is probably right around the corner. I was surprised at the fun I had with this. I was drawn to Butler and Baccarin's characters and their journey. They each encounter huge difficulties, and I was invested in their outcome. Now, for a global disaster movie, there wasn't as much destruction as I had hoped for. The effects I found fun, though, from shockwaves to full-on explosive chain reactions. I mean, the destruction that we do get, it's exciting. It kept me smiling. The story itself is pretty predictable, and even when there were moments that I didn't see coming, once I was there, I could tell what was going to happen from there. But that didn't bother me. I mean, I'm looking for explosions. I'm looking for action. I'm just looking for popcorn movie, and that's what I got. Now, Butler is brooding a lot of the time, but he also conveys that overwhelmed and concerned father and husband really well. There's this part towards the beginning of the film where you see him have to make a decision, and it's a logical one, and but you see him struggle with that. You see it pain him a little bit even though he knows it's the right thing to do that he's doing, he still has to hesitate for a moment, and he has to consider all of these things, and that comes through in his performance. Baccarin was good also as the scared out of her mind mom. There's a point in this where your heart drops. I mean, you see it coming, but still, it doesn't take away the fact that it breaks your heart. I like the time limit that the story gives the characters also. I mean, it provides an extreme urgency, but the timeline isn't so tight and so unrealistic that our characters couldn't make the journey. So I like that it adds this little bit of plausibility to an otherwise impossible story. Don't expect too much in the way of character development. I mean, we get enough to be able to root for our characters, but not so much that we know what absolutely makes them tick. And really, for this, all we need to know is that they have a survival instinct and they care for their family. So yes, a lot of this is unrealistic. But if you went into this movie thinking about realism and thinking about how everything should exactly fit logically, then I think you go in with the wrong expectations. It does have some plausibility to it, and that's what kind of makes it work. But also, hey, you know what? The explosions, those are fun. This one surprised me a lot, kind of like Crawl did earlier in the year. You know, that crocodile movie? I mean, it was totally unexpected, but I had fun. So is this terribly memorable? No, it's not. And it's not a global destruction movie that has a just emotional song to hang its hat on like Armageddon did. But it's still a good escape from the dumpster fire that is 2020. It's action, it's chase, it's urgency, it's big explosions, and it's family drama. And it can tug on your heart a little bit, even though it's predictable. And I gotta say, as far as global destruction movies with Gerard Butler, this one is a lot better than Geostorm. There's no sex or nudity, there is some profanity and some violence. I give Greenland 3.5 out of 5 couches. Do you have a favorite disaster type movie? Let me know what yours is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.